It is Friday, July 13th, 2018, and this is the best I can inform you about 25 stars coming to GMS Reboot. Let's talk about it. So 25 stars is confirmed for GMS. It's going to hit the servers in a little under 2 weeks. What does it mean? And in short, what this means is that gear from level 128 to 137, as you can see on the screen, can go up to 20 stars, and gear level 138 or higher can go up to 25 stars. The most likely chances of success are known from KMS, as well as the charts for stat gain and high stats, which show us that the high level gear with a lot of stars will surpass a lot of current best in slot gear, namely the event rings. Since despite the enormous base stats on these rings, their lack of star force makes them worse in comparison. On this table you can see an approximation of the expected cost and boom chance to enhance an item to 22 stars. You can see on the bottom what the rules of these numbers are, how they got to these numbers, and you can also clearly see in the table how much money you can save on average by not guarding an item, and at the same time how much this dramatically increases the boom chance of the item. So you could make the decision to risk not guarding, so on average you can get the item to the desired 22 stars much faster, but you should probably only do that if you either have a lot of crafting materials to do this, or if the item is easily replaceable. If an item is not as easily replaceable or costs a lot more crafting materials, you should probably decide to go for the security and guard the item. Furthermore, the importance of star forcing during an event is clearly shown in this table. You can see how much money you can save. The only problem with this is that if you do a lot of star catching in quick succession, it becomes increasingly difficult to successfully star catch, as shown in the explanation on the screen right now. So what does this mean right now? A lot of people are probably wondering what happens to my event rings right now that I work so hard for, or that I might be currently working hard for, namely the Synergy ring and the Chaos ring. What I can tell you that if you are in GMS Reboot and you're in the early, mid, or beginning of the late game, the Chaos, Synergy, and Master SS rings are still good. You'll still need their damage to get further into the late game and eventually into the end game. They're just necessary stepping stones for your progression, and they help you so much in damage that you shouldn't feel like you wasted a lot of time or coins or resources to get these items. What happens when 25 stars hit the server is basically that the rings will have an extra step of progression, where higher star force other rings will simply replace these event rings, and it will resort the event rings to become strong rings in your drop set, either with drop rate or meso obtain in their potential. I would probably advise people to not go for 2 chaos rings unless you're missing a lot of ring slots right now. So if you don't have a Reboot Vengeful ring, Reboot Cosmos ring, double Master SS rings, any of these, you might still go for 2 Chaos rings. Remember to wait for July 22nd to buy them on a sale there to get 30% off. What this also means, 25 stars coming to GMS, is that we can start preparing gear. I'm not saying Star Force anything just yet, or make any big commitments, but you can start making some preparations. Some gear has RNG to drop, so the sooner you start, the more chances you'll have of having the gear ready when 25 star does hit, and when we have our final confirmations of how it is implemented exactly. I can hear you all saying, yay, more dailies. Well, that's what it comes down to, basically. Remember, if you do blow up a non-superior item, and I'm not talking about superior Gollux, but I'm talking about the item class superior, you do get a 12-star trace that maintains the potential. So keep this in mind when going for high-star gear. Sometimes you can transfer hammer to save the potential lines, but it only saves them up to epic. Sometimes if the item is a little bit more difficult to replace, but still possible to replace, it might be better to just star force what you have now and work with the trace system rather than going for a lower level item to transfer hammer over, because if you do that you will have to completely recube as well, which, as we all know, if you're in the late game or in the end game, can be an expensive endeavor. So that brings us to the new best in slot. Just remember, this does not mean throw out everything you have now and focus purely on these things. It means that what you have now is going to be your stepping stone, is going to be your starting point into working towards upgrading to what I'm going to mention now. The things that you have now are still going to be necessary steps to get strong enough so you can even gather the materials or kill the bosses necessary to get those better items. So keep that in. Also, always look for items that are 5 or 10 levels lower than the items you're going for, that are more readily available, so that you can transfer hammer even if I miss out on something. So for the earrings, we'll go for the Alien Visitor PQ and get the Alien Fragment earrings there. Demon Avenger will get the Meister earring because of the Meister set bonus, which will make it slightly better for DAs. Eventually, you'll also go into Alien Visitor earrings as a Demon Avenger, but that's only when you get Will shoulders. And as you guys probably know, the Will boss fight is going to be pretty tricky for Demon Avengers, so it's probably going to take a long time to get the Will shoulders as a DA. At the end of the video, I'll explain how to craft these Meister earrings and all the other Meister gear for the people who aren't aware how to do that. As for the rings, you will craft a Meister ring and transfer hammer that into a superior Gollux ring. You'll get a reinforced Gollux ring, and you get a Meister ring by itself. So in total, you'll need 2 fully starred Meister ring. And then the 4th ring will either be the Chaos ring for a Demon Avenger, and then the Kana treasure or the solid Gollux ring for non-Demon Avengers. Some of you probably don't have the Kana treasure ring anymore, so that's why the solid Gollux ring is mentioned here. As for the belt, we'll go for the superior belt, so we'll have to kill Helix for that. If you already have a good superior belt, Star Force that one up and keep killing Helix for extra belts. If you don't have good potential on one yet, you can also kill Hardlux or Helix for reinforced belts, and kill Pink Bean for the Golden Clover belt, transfer hammer those after you get high Star Force, and get those straight into the superior belt. As for the eye accessories, you can get the Papulatus mark or the Black Bean mark. Both of these are pretty difficult to get, so this is definitely one I would say start killing those bosses on the daily to increase your chances of getting these. Try as much as possible with drop rate gear. I'm pretty sure for the Papulatus mark, it's mainly dropping from Chaos Pop. I've not heard of one dropping from regular Papulatus just yet. And the Black Bean mark drops mainly from Chaos Pink Bean. And then for everything else, we basically try to get high star Absolab gear that can then help you later to get arcane gear. So for the high star Absolab gear, you can get Pieces of Destruction to get your Fafnir weapon, high Star Force, transfer hammer into Absolab. And you get the Root boots and Root gloves. You can see in the picture where you get these. Again, get them to high Star Force, transfer hammer them into the Absolab gear. And then eventually you'll go for 5 set Absolab gear. So that brings me to crafting the Meister gear. So you do this after you learn all of your professions. So first step is you have to gather all of your materials to even level up to get to the point where you can craft these items, and you need the materials to craft these items. So for that, for the earring, you need the Confusion Fragments. For the ring, you need the Primal Essence. For the shoulder, you need to kill Normal Cygnus and loot her drops. So as for harvesting, you need to gather all your level 5, 6, 7, and 8 jewels and plates. So that's basically everything that's green, yellow, red, or black, and drops from Heartstones, Mysterious Veins, and Legendary Mysterious Veins. Some other materials I'll gather by killing monsters. That's Twisted Time, which can drop from a lot of monsters all the time. Fine Spell Essences drop from monsters all the time as well. Grand Spell Essences drop from a lot of monsters as well, except they're quite a bit more rare. If you do have a dedicated Meso farming Kana, they probably have a lot of Grand Spell Essences stacked up on that character already. I hope you didn't drop these. And the last thing you need is Mana Crystals, which is the easiest thing to get. You get stacks and stacks of these, so that's pretty easy. Then the third thing where you get these materials is from bossing. So you will get the Confusion Fragments from Madman, Ranmaru, or from Arcarium. And Arcarium also has an ability to drop the Primal Essence, so you can kind of catch 2 birds with 1 stone with that one. And then the last thing you need is extracting. You can extract items through smithing, accessory crafting, or alchemy, depending on the level. You can extract higher level gear, and you'll need to do this to get intermediate, advanced, and superior item crystals and Philosopher's Stones. Philosopher's Stones are gathered from extracting items over level 105. The higher the level, the better. So I would advise level 130 or level 140 gear for this. This can net you a bunch of Philosopher's Stones as an item extracted, can net you multiple Philosopher's Stones per extraction. But this is something that I advise overall to all newish people to do, because Philosopher's Stones can also be NPC'd for 300k each, so they can net you a decent amount of money. And then the last thing we do is level up your accessory crafting, all the way up to Craftsman. Basically what you do is you craft rings that have the lowest material requirements. You can just make infinite amounts of these basically. And then once you get to Craftsman, the amount of experience you need to get to Meister becomes very significant. So this is going to take a few days. Basically what you do is you keep making level 7 and level 8 requirement material rings, so the red and the black materials. And aside from this, you can make Meister symbol, as you can see on screen, or you can make the magic Emerstones. These are quite significant in material requirements, but they do also give a lot of mastery. So make that decision on your own, what you want to commit to here. Make sure that when you are leveling your accessory crafting past level 10, that you keep making items regularly, as you will lose some mastery points every 16 hours if you don't craft anything that gives you experience. So I hope this video answered a bunch of your questions. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave comments or to hit me up on the Twitch chat. I'm always streaming, and by that I mean whenever I have free time, which is a lot recently. So best of luck on preparing to 25 stars, and I'll see you guys on stream. Later.